It's the first vehicular bridge built by Santiago Calatrava in the U.S. We're proud to have it in Dallas. Up close, it was awe-inspiring. I heard 400 feet off the ground, but when you first look up at it, it touches the sky.
Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge is like a metaphor in a way, because it connects people, neighborhoods, ideas.
It's not only going to pull people together, but hopefully pull people from other places to come see it too.
It's a thing you must see when you come to Dallas. It's like something you can't miss.
The funny part, in a way, is that we are bringing ourselves back to nature with something man-made.
I think I'm most interested in learning about the mechanics behind it, like how each step of the bridge is built.
What I really interested in is like how it's built, everything, like the structure from the inside out.
I want you guys to make sure that we're doing the side-by-sides.
This workshop has been phenomenal. I love learning about the bridge and then getting to build it. It's just been crazy awesome.
This bridge is called a cable-stayed bridge because the cables are what are holding it up.
How did you know the plan for the bridge would work?
Well, what they did with this one, it was kind of a unique way they did it. Of course, it was built in Italy. The steel came from Italy. And in order to make sure all the pieces fit, they actually put it all together on the ground in Italy and then saw that it worked and then took it all apart. And then that's when all the pieces got shipped over here. The name of the company is Cimolai, and they're out of Italy, and they have worked with Mr. Calatrava on several bridges over in Europe. And so he felt very comfortable working with them on this bridge. As you know, this is the first vehicular bridge that Santiago Calatrava has done in the United States.
What was the first step you did before you started building the bridge?
The first step that they did in starting building the bridge was they came in and they did the large center columns. You see how those are concrete at the very bottom of the arch. And those piers are really, really big. They go all the way down to bedrock.
How was the arch raised to its standing point?
It was actually done in pieces, and they would put one side on and then the other side going all the way up till the top, and then the top piece is the curved piece up there, and that was one piece, and that was actually just dropped into place with a huge crane that they had out here. It was taller than that arch up there, and they set it into place, and there were welders up at the top in both sides of that arch that were able to attach it as soon as it was dropped into place. Inside that arch is a series of ladders, and each section is about 20 feet tall, so you would climb up a ladder, and then there's a landing, and you would step over, climb up another ladder, step over, climb up another ladder, all the way to the top. It's pretty cool.
What about the concrete on the road? How does it get poured?
The concrete on the road, usually what they do is they'll have a truck, a concrete truck sitting down here, and they'll pump it up and into the forms that they've laid out on the deck. That's called the deck, is the part that you drive on. And they'll pump it up there, and then they'll have workers up there who will work it in and make sure it's all consistent. And then what they do is they take what they call a screed, and that's what they use when you see those guys smoothing the concrete out. They sit there and work it and work it and work it until it's very, very smooth. And so that's how they pour the deck.
Why must they pour the concrete on both sides at the same time?
Well, they need to keep the bridge stable. You know, obviously, if you were to do one side and leave it sit, it would be unstable, because they really want to have the weight distributed evenly across the bridge on both sides.
So, what is false work?
What is false work? All right. You see where the concrete columns stop, and those next few structures that are just kind of sitting out there, they're not very attractive. Well, the good thing is they will go away when the bridge is finished. They're temporarily supporting that center signature span until those cables are all in place. Once the bridge is totally complete, then they'll take out all of that false work and the bridge will have nothing underneath it. It'll be a clear span, which makes it really nice in the floodway. Where we're standing is where a lot of the flooding of the Trinity River happens. You're not going to have any columns get in the way of that flood water. So it's a very efficient design for being in a floodway to have that. So the false work is all the work that is temporary and will come out later.
So how is the bridge, the center of it, going to stay stabilized?
Okay, the cables are attached to that center. There's a kind of a center box girder. It's called a box girder. And those cables are attached to that, okay? Now you see all the ribs that are coming out from either side, all the little ribs coming out. So really that's holding up the whole bridge, just from that cable to the center, and all of that is all connected. So that's what's holding up the bridge. It's going to be held up from the top and not from the bottom. It's a really unique design. Let's move down here and meet Jim McTaggart, and he's going to tell us some more about the bridge.
Okay.
So what is it that you do for this project, or what are you in charge of?
I'm with VSL. Our company has the subcontract to furnish and install the stay cables. So we supplied, the engineering and the testing, and material, and now we're installing the stay cables. There's a dead end anchor in the top. There's a live end anchor, inside the central box girder, and of course the sheathing and the individual cables and all the accessories that to protect them.
So, how do the cables work?
Basically, after we get them stressed, we will remove the false work down underneath, and they will support the bridge deck. There will be, when construction is complete, there will be nothing supporting the deck, from this last column here, to the arch, except the cables. And it's basically the tension on the high-strength steel cables is what will support the deck loads. The live load is the moving traffic. The dead load is the weight of the structure itself.
I have a question. How many cables are on the bridge, and why is it a certain number?
There's 58 cables. They're evenly distributed across the length of the deck. It's two 600-foot spans, and they're just evenly distributed in size to carry the dead load and the live load of the bridge deck.
How are the cables installed?
Those long plastic pipes, they come in 40-foot lengths, and we weld them together on the bridge deck to the length that's required. We'll get the first strand installed on the deck. We will hoist the pipe. All right. Get the strand secured at the top.
Cable coming down.
And you get it pulled in at the bottom, wedged in and stressed up. And then we will individually winch all the subsequent cables into each pipe. We have to do the operation simultaneously, on the east and west side, so that the structure remains balanced.
Why don't all the cables have the same diameter?
The shorter cables in the center are smaller diameter, probably because they're more vertical and less horizontal, and the loads are applied a little differently to the structure. Right now, we're hanging a pair every day, and getting them completed every night, moving on, to the next day, another pair.
I've driven by the bridge maybe thousands of times in the various stages of construction, but seeing it up close brings a whole new meaning to it. Getting to see the process up close and how far it's come along, I think it's going to be a great addition to the Dallas skyline.
So today we're going to build the road beds, all right? And we're going to use some materials that are kind of pre-built, but we're going to assemble some things to simulate all the structure. So, okay, what did you guys see under the bridge? Can someone describe?
You had the main spinal section, and then you had ribs spreading out from underneath.
Exactly, right. Gabrielle, please measure the board. Tell me how long the board is.
It is 48 inches.
48 inches, and what's 48 inches in feet? 4 feet. Okay, so it's 4 feet. So if we say we know the signature span, and when we say the signature span, what we mean by that is the signature span is the part of the bridge that actually has no supports effectively underneath it, and the cables are going to be touching. Okay, beyond that is the rest of the bridge. So if we said our signature span, our model is going to be how many feet long? Do we say? 20 feet, and this was how long? How many of these do we need? 5, exactly. All right. So I would like some volunteer to go to the board and draw me, if you could, these 5 rectangles to show the panels and the arch. Can someone come up and do that? Anyone? Ruby? Come on up. So if you can draw the 5 panels, where they might be, and then also where the arch might be as well.
One day I want to design a bridge or a building that would like help other people and inspire them to be engineers too.
We're going to have an eye bolt, okay? And then we're going to have the main washer, okay? We're going to have the board, the pegboard. Then we're going to have, what's this? This is what might this be, you think? The spine, exactly. This is the spine. Okay, this is the road bed. Oh, okay. This is the spine, right? This again, we're looking at a cross section of this. Okay. And then what happens after here? What do we put here? Lock washer, right? And then what? Then the nut, exactly. So if you guys can all see this, I've put the road bed, okay, across a span, right? What's happening to the road bed? Can you guys see what's happening to the road bed? It's what? It's sagging. It's sagging. Okay. So let's see here. What the spine does what for us? You think? Okay. Now let me ask you a question. Should I put the spine like this under the road, or which way should I put it, and why? Yeah. If I do, what's the other option? I can put it like this, or how else could I put it?
You could flip that on its side.
Like this, okay.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever heard of the term of an I-beam? Yes. Okay, you've heard of I-beams. That's effectively what this is, right? An I-beam, when they have an I-beam on in construction, the I-beam looks like this. It's got a kind of a T, like a double T, right? And the main support of the I-beam, okay, is this part right here, because it's vertical. We're going to do a couple things. Each group, we're going to have 3 people. So 2 of them are going to be building, and 1 person is going to be an inspector, okay? And we're going to rotate that inspector roll around. And the inspector is going to make sure that, all the lock washers and the nuts and the washers are all correct on the right side, using this drawing here.
Dave was explaining to us how the spine and the core of the bridge, the signature span, was created.
Well, what you could do is
and we were each creating a 1/4 of the signature span, and we just went through the steps, and you really get an understanding of how the bridge fits together. And you also get a nice understanding of the engineering and architectural designs behind that.
This will be, you guys are going to do 4, 4, and 4. This one's a little bit different. All yours will be 4.
Oh, lucky.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so what's the next step, guys? What are we going to do? We're going to have the ribs. Okay, so where do you think those ribs are going to go? Right, so how are they going to go into those holes, do you think?
Stick a peg in.
These pegs, right? So each one of these pegs, you're going to put a peg through the hole, and it's got to go about halfway, okay? I'll try that. Good. You guys see this? What do you think this is?
The support. Oh, the false work.
The false work. The supports and false work for the bridge, right? Because if we're going to lay out the road bed much like they built it, okay, piece by piece, and then we'll have the arch. And so, but something's going to support the bridge, right? So something's going to support the bridge at the appropriate level until we string up the cables, right? So, and that's what this is going to be.
The Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge is like a dream. When you look at it, the final version, it's breathtaking, and it almost seems magical.
Measure out how far is the first truss going to be?
But once taken through the step-by-step process, you can really understand the complexity, but also why it fits together so well.
Ricardo, help out with the last tape there. I need you to get this to work.
No, this is the wrong place. It needs to be up.
I want you guys to stand back and look at this entire set of trusses and tell me if there's anything wrong with it, or if we need to make any adjustments and why. So where would you want to look? Yeah, each one of you guys, look at them all. You guys need to be inspectors and check everything else out. Make sure everything's lined up. Make sure you're sending it on the tape, but also on the line.
How did these fit into each other?
It became real instead of just as in the classroom. It was just always lines and stuff, and now it's real, and it's just amazing that can be transferred from just lines on a paper.
And it's really a tight fit and pretty exact. So, okay, so, yeah, good job, guys, twisting it in. Perfect. Yeah, they should be leaning in, right? Good. All right, let's stand back for a second and let's take a look. Now, why don't you stand at the end and tell me there's some differences with these two arches right now.
This one's still
Tilted. How are we going to measure that? Let's do something. Okay, so I want you guys start. I want you to take this and put it on the side of the pole. Okay. Yep. Actually on this side. What do this side here?
I just hope other people appreciate the bridge as much as I do, because I mean it's not even complete and it overwhelms me every time I look at it.
Now that we have the arches built, okay, and we have the trusses laid out, we're actually going to bring the road beds out and lay them on the trusses. Okay. So which one are we going to put in first? Do you think?
middle.
The middle one. So go halfway across each truss, right? So I think you're okay. So someone get a ruler. Someone get a ruler and make sure we're halfway. Now are we centered this way? We're centered left to right?
Yes.
Whenever we started doing it, I was amazed that we could actually do it that big.
You're going to do what? Someone's going to hold. I need two people hold the board here. So come on, hold the board down, and we're going to put that. Pressure. We're going to put that peg in there. We may have to lift the board up to align the hole a little bit, tweak it up, and there you go. Slide it. You kind of wiggle it in. There you go. Excellent. Good. Okay. Let's get the arch if you're ready for that. All right. Bring that on over here. Bring the arch over. Two teams. We have a north and south team. Okay. And we're going to fit these into.
Careful, some of them on the.
Careful of the hooks.
No, look there.
Yep.
Twist them.
We're a little bit off, so we'll have to shift that. And and make sure your strands are correct.
Right now what they're working on is tightening and putting down the cables. And in order to do that, to make sure the bridge is flat and straight, you need to have at least two people on each side doing it. So you can't, unless you have extendo arms, you can't do it by yourself.
Just feed it right through. Okay, so we walk that on this side. Yeah, so you want to make sure you do it in order. Oh, hold on a second. Now,
hold on, this one's.
Which way are you going to go?
Oh, I put it on the wrong one.
When you look at the cables of the bridge and they have that spiraling motion and you look at them and gaze at them, you get this sense of feeling that they're just like these elastic wings from angels.
We need the thing again.
You guys do it. Make sure you do even sides. Don't get too. Oh, are we getting too far ahead of ourselves on this side?
No, I was just.
All right. I need a project manager. I need two project managers.
Teamwork definitely does help get something like this off the ground. We've been making a little bitty model of it, and it's taken 12 of us fully participating to even get that off the ground. And I can't imagine trying to get a bridge 66 times the size of that off the ground. I can't imagine the amount of teamwork and the amount of people that it took to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, you took it up.
Okay. Go that way. That way.
No, here, plugged on.
Don't hook it up yet.
Even though this is just a model that's 1/66, I think, of the real one, it's a lot of work, a lot of teamwork, and a lot of reliance on all the other people there.
So guys, we're going to line up across the bridge, three on a side, and we're going to tighten from the outside in, outside, the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one, until finally the bridge is lifted. Do we see anything at the ends? Guys, at the ends, do we see anything happening? Stop at 8. You're done at 8? Okay, do 9. So you can do 4 each, right? So okay, 4 each, so 9.
Pulling the false work out is going to be really cool to just see how it makes sure it doesn't swing or anything. It's just going to be stable without the supports in the bottom.
But why? So I'll ask you a question. Why is it getting higher? We haven't touched the end anymore, right? We did the end once. Why is it still getting higher at the end?
When we did the first cable, it took a lot of tension. But now that we're doing more and more, less and less tension is being taken from, and it's being taken from that cable and distributed among the cables.
Exactly. Distribution of weight. That's exactly right. And so as we further tension these cables and load them, right, the entire load of the bridge, we're increasing the entire load on all the cables, but also distributing them more evenly. And why would even though the load on each point might be this, the entire load is distributed evenly, why would the tension be different in each cable? What about this cable? How about this cable versus this cable? What's
the angle? The angle affects the tension taken on the string.
Exactly. It's called a force vector. All right, let's get some rulers out. Let's measure how far we are at each center of the end and center of each board.
20.2.
Watch your number and keep yours and watch yours. Are we floating? Are we above the trusses? Take a look.
Yeah.
Just without touching the bridge, take a look. Is it up? Yes. Watch, let's take a look at the bridge. Ready? Watch the bridge. Watch the bridge.
As the cables are twisting and intertwining, combining to hold up the bridge, the ideas are coming together and holding up the city, keeping it strong and lively.
Is it moving freely?
Yes.
Okay, we're floating. Great.
And when the cables are all put together, all tight, and when you take out the false work, both our pride and the bridge will rise. You can taste the anticipation.
These kids are going to love it. They're going to drive by this bridge. They're going to drive over this bridge, and they're going to say, I made this bridge. I made this bridge.
It reminds me of a boat because you have a nice long hull almost with the ribs underneath. Then you have the sail in the very middle just standing out proud. And then you have the river right next to it.
When people cross the bridge, we want them to look around and say, this bridge is beautiful, so we must keep everything around it beautiful.
I think it looks like it's either a butterfly or a dragonfly because it has wings.